So I'm Maury Ghazawi. I'm Director and Chief Training Officer for XtremeLabs. Some of you might have used our labs, some of you have used other companies' labs, and that's fine. We are here purposely to talk about the Microsoft program as presented by Chintan, who's, of course, an MCT. XtremeLabs has been in the world of creating digital hands-on labs for going on 13 years. As it concerns you, we manage the MCT readiness program. What that means is that when some of you, all of you, are trying to enhance your skills by preparing for a class, you will log into your MCT account on the XtremeLabs and basically get access to our labs for free. And those labs are for you to enhance your skills, not to use them in a classroom. I'm not sure if anybody here is new to the MCT world. If there is anybody here that's new, please don't be shy. We are all colleagues. We're all here to support you. If there's any brand new or even new MCT that wishes to learn more about what does an MCT receive, what kind of benefits, what have you. Over the years, I've seen many good solid relationships come out of these MCT meetups. Introductions from South Africa to India to Pakistan to Tunis to the UK to Netherlands to Lebanon last month. So definitely you're with a group that come from all over the world. We are here to support you in any way possible, whether through me, whether through chit-chatting with other colleagues on this call. There is no such thing as a stupid question. We're here to support your needs in any way we can. And I repeat that, especially for the new MCTs. Some of them are usually come up to be shy. We need to break that shyness and get you more comfortable talking to other MCTs and share email addresses and share experiences. And some other MCTs shared some ideas. Instead of only teaching SQL, why not try teaching other technologies? So this is a nice place to have these conversations freely, and always remember that we're here to support you. All right, Chintan, all yours.
Great, thanks a lot, Maury. Welcome everybody to the July edition of the MCT Meetup hosted by XtremeLabs. My session titled Unveiling the Updates to the Microsoft Certified Trainer Program. My name is Chintan Patel. Thank you for joining. Really good to see some familiar names here. Good to see some new faces. Well, I don't see faces, but new names. And if you are a prospective MCT, I do welcome you. I hope this gives you some great information on how you could really benefit from the MCT program. And there's just some information that I'd like to share today. It's an information session. There's going to be some questions and answers. So just very briefly in terms of housekeeping, the chat is the area for some questions that you can ask and it will be answered. I will probably type some answers out. I'll be speaking out some answers. There are one or two people that I've nominated beforehand that may assist in answering some questions. If you're an existing MCT and you think you know the answer to a question that a prospective MCT is asking, please let's share the knowledge. Let's find out. Let's get to know each other and network as well. Right. So what we are going to be covering in the session is pretty much about the MCT program and how far has it come since my last session in January. So when you did register for today's session, there was a URL which provided all the previous sessions. I'll just paste that particular URL if you'd like to just find out and have a look at what has been done in the past by some of my colleagues, some of my MCT colleagues, including my own session in January, where I went in some great detail and just explaining the road to becoming an MCT in 2023 and beyond. So please do look at that particular session. I'll be talking a bit from that particular session as well, just a few highlights from there. But let's get straight onto it. So for those who don't know me, my name is Chintan from South Africa, from a little town called Benoni. I am the regional lead for Southern Africa. That means that if you would like to become an MCT, if you know someone who's an MCT, I'm pretty much the support person. I am that person who's developing skills, I'm finding opportunities, I'm disseminating information about the MCT program to existing MCTs, and there's a whole bunch of extra things beside that. And this is a volunteer role that I took upon in 2020 to help fellow prospective MCTs and existing MCTs to understand the program and how we can really work together to train the world on everything around Microsoft. I do a lot of training, obviously, myself. I'm very big in the Microsoft Office and Microsoft 365 space. Power BI pretty recently. I've been very, very busy in that space. Do a lot of consulting. I was a speaker for the first time last year at the MCT Summit in Switzerland. That's actually where I met Maury as well for the first time in person. It was really great to see him and a whole bunch of others and some other MCTs and regional leads. And I'll be talking a little bit about events in my session as well. MCT events, upcoming events, and where you can actually also be a part of this. Whether you're a prospective MCT or a new MCT, that's something I'll be talking about in a moment. A lot of people don't know this, but I also am a Certiport exam proctor. Right? So if you go to certiport.com and you see all those exams or certifications, in my country, I am a Certiport authorized testing center and a proctor, and it's a fairly interesting way to, say, earn some extra bucks. And also you're helping the your fellow colleagues in, making sure that they're able to get themselves a certification in something. So if you are interested, please do look at my previous session. I did talk a little bit more about that in my previous XtremeLabs session about becoming a Certiport exam proctor, but please do email me. My details on the screen. Get in touch with me on LinkedIn, and I can give you some tips on how you can possibly also become a Certiport testing center and exam proctor in your own country. And as of pretty recent, I became a Mudita instructional skills certification instructor. And that's more around the prerequisite instructional skills certification in order to become an MCT. And I'll talk more about that also in my session today, what that really is all about. I am the moderator for the LinkedIn and Facebook MCT network groups, right? So if you do search on LinkedIn or Facebook, MCT network, join them. There's a lot of information there. It's for prospective MCTs. It's for existing MCTs. Just note that if you're an existing MCT, be very careful what you post in there. There's certain things that are under NDA that you are not allowed to say in front of those who are not MCTs. I occasionally see a lot of conversations around that. Just be very careful. It says it is an open group. Right, so my contact details are on the screen if you'd like to get in touch. Abdul, I am going to address your question about regional lead also in today's session, because this year is the year, and I hope it stays that way this year, where new regional lead applications will open up 2023 to 2024. And I do want to talk a little bit about how to become a regional lead and what does it really involve when you want to really become one. What is our agenda here? It's much shorter than what I did in January, but there's going to be a lot of discussion and there'll be a Q&A, I suppose. But we are going to talk about the MCT program, any updates that have come about in the last, say, 6 months or so. Some important information that I'd also like to share regarding the current program, the current state, highlighting certain things about it. A very popular topic that has been coming around is the Cloud Partner Program, freelance MCTs. I've talked about it in my previous session. I'm going to talk about it again and there have been some changes also recently about that. What that really means is that you can become a Microsoft Learning Partner if you are a freelance MCT. So you can operate on your own. You can operate with a few others who are MCTs too, and you can run your own training company and compete in the market. So I'll be taking you through some of the steps involved over there. Some steps have changed slightly, so I will talk more about that later. Some upcoming MCT events that you should be a part of, and then throughout the session, any Q&A that you have or any questions really that you'd like to get answered, please let me know in the chat. Just a question there from Rajat is that how can I become an MVP? Not this session. I'm not an MVP yet. If you do want to know about the MVP program, there's a lot of resources out there which I'll try to find an exact link that you can visit, but it's a whole different program. It's a you have to be recognized for it. It's not a certification. You have to be doing a lot of contributions. And the main thing is that you have to be nominated by an existing MVP, right? So that's probably one of the key things, but this is not about the MVP program today, but more of the MCT program. So we want to just jump into the program updates. What are some of the new things that we have is that we now have an updated list of instructional skills certifications providers. So what does that really mean? I'm going to share this link in the chat if we are not aware of it right now. This URL that we have to visit is the Become a Microsoft Certified Trainer page. And whilst this page has been the same for quite some time, the big section that has changed is under the topic MCT program entry requirements, where you now have to possess proof of instructional skills. What that means is you must show that you can teach. It was fairly easy in the past to join the MCT program through reference letters. There were certain elements of RPL or recognition of prior learning, which means that maybe you were a teacher in, say, some school or university, or you have some years teaching experience and you could really submit a letter to show that you could teach. That has really been taken away or scrapped altogether because there were a lot of loopholes in the system and people were just taking chances to join into the program for abusing the benefits. And now we have it really solid here. It's become a lot more stricter that you have to get instructional skills if you are going to be applying as an MCT for the very first time. Right, so Imran, just to answer that question, existing MCTs do not need it, provided you renew on time. If you're an existing MCT, just make sure you renew MCT on time. If you do not renew on time, I saw one instance like that in the MCT groups, Facebook or LinkedIn, that someone didn't renew on time, and now what happens in there, they are treated like a brand new applicant, right? So then you have to then get this instructional skills certification. The awesome part is it's now become pretty accessible. There's just so many in this list here. I have it open in front of me across different regions, across different countries. I'm very happy to say there's one in South Africa, and I do want to talk a little bit about that. Just punt it here and there. And I do have a colleague who's also joined, who's part of the same organization. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And we have this long list, and we want to explore and see what it costs, what it involves, because now what has happened, it means that these organizations have gone through a rigorous program to get their instructional skills training program accredited by Microsoft Worldwide Learning themselves. Right? So they have been going through many months of submitting documentation, submitting all sorts of topics or what's really going to be covered. There were a very stringent list of requirements. So after many applications, this was the final list that came about, right? So please do explore it, see which one is closest to you. Some of them might be able to offer it online as well, so you don't have to be in that country. And yeah, so please do have a look at that particular list that I have, or the URL that I posted and the link on that page. Just to be very clear, if you are someone who's becoming an MCT for the first time, you've not been an MCT before, or you were an MCT but you did not renew on time, or if you're an MCT alumni and you want to become an MCT again, then you would have to go through this instructional skills certification program. And each one of them could have their own requirements, such as an exam, some assessment of some kind that you have to do before you are given that certificate that you can use as part of your MCT enrollment when you want to become a Microsoft certified trainer. Right, and it is encouraged that you go through one of these programs because we want to build up the quality of the MCT program. We want to make sure we are skilled. We have the knowledge, great. We are subject matter experts, great. But are we able to facilitate the learning 100%? Are we able to ensure that we are able to communicate those correct skills out to individuals? Are we able to cater for all sorts of needs in the environment? And that list just goes on. And every organization may structure it differently, right? You just do need to explore and see what each one offers, right? And so there's a question here from Sumera. I'm from India. Which instructional skills certification can I take? So they're all split up into different regions. The Australian or Asian and Asian Pacific and Australian regions, the European, Middle East, Africa, Latin America, North America. So look, you can probably apply for something in the Asian region, right? APAC, the region is APAC over there. That you may want to apply. Some of them are offering the course in different languages, so please do have a look at that. If English is not your first language, then you could probably get the same course done in the language of your choice if it is listed, right? So please do take a note of that. And then there is some additional information about some existing instructional skill certifications that have not made it, like some of the more popular ones, like CompTIA, CTT Plus, or the IMCT, or the TPMA, that were pretty popular choices. They are no longer part of the program. And then so there's some information about the rest of the ISC skills process on this particular website. Right, so Terry's just given some information about that. Terry, who's on the call over here, she's part of the organization called Mudita Concepts, based in South Africa. Right, so under the MEA region, if you see the company Mudita Concepts, in fact, myself and Terry are instructors of that particular instructional skills certification. Right, so I will talk more about a little bit about Mudita just in a moment, because we have a course coming up. Whether you're in South Africa, whether you're in another part of the world, you are most welcome to enroll and join the program. But we also have a new program manager. Her name is Tracy Kerish. She recently joined the MCT program, leads up quite a number of initiatives at Microsoft, even looking after the Microsoft technical trainers, the MTTs as well, from Microsoft. And she's bringing about a whole lot of new changes, some very positive changes, that I can't really share, because we do have a mix of people who are MCTs and not MCTs. So the program has, in my view, this is purely my view, has never been this awesome before. So I've been really excited to see the new changes that are going to be coming out in the coming months. So please do join the MCT program. It would be really nice to have you if you're not in MCT yet. There's quite a lot of exciting changes coming. And then the regional lead applications. So what is the regional lead? I am the regional lead for Southern Africa, technically for South Africa only. However, in about 2021, I took upon an extra set of responsibilities for becoming the MCT regional lead for 15 other countries in my region, because in Africa, there was just the two of us. It was my colleague Seyi in Nigeria, who looked after pretty much Western, Northern Africa, and then I looked after South Africa. And then I said, well, I'm going to take on quite a number of the Southern African countries and be there to assist. And then in 2022 came about, then we had more regional leads joining in. I have a colleague here from Cameroon. We have a colleague from also the Democratic Republic of Congo. So more have joined on. But what does it mean? What does it mean for you to become a regional lead? It is something that I've seen where many requests have come about. It's not only about having a representative in your country. Right? When we talk about regions, a region could be a country, it could be for multiple countries. Right? So I've elected to be a regional representative for 15 countries. That's quite a lot for a portfolio. Some people could be a regional lead for just one country, but because some countries are close by or there is no one available, they could be the next nearest person. Or you could even just contact me. But just to be very clear, it doesn't mean that, well, I don't see a regional lead for my country, so I should become one. What are the main things you need to be doing when you want to be a regional lead? You got to be very active in the community. You have identified that there's some sort of shortage or something's lacking in the general trainer community around Microsoft products and services in your country, in your region, in your area. And you would like to do more to upskill, to assist your fellow trainers really become, say, knowledgeable, skilled up, and that they have the necessary, say, tools, resources to do whatever they're supposed to be doing. So whilst you're looking after yourself as an MCT, you should have that potential to help others as well, right? And that helping of others could mean all sorts of things. It could be creating, say, groups, creating networking opportunities, meeting up, whether it's virtually or in person. You want to create job opportunities. You want to introduce them to certain job opportunities. And it differs per country. There's no set rule of what a regional lead for a country should be doing. I have mentored a number of MCT prospective regional leads myself. They became regional leads themselves as well. I think the most successful out of all of my of all the people that I've mentored are the current regional lead of Pakistan, Usman Lodi. I remember that he was really trying to become a regional leader, gave him all that advice, all the tips, and he eventually became one. And then also Gulnaz Mushtaq became a regional lead with him, and they're doing really good stuff in Pakistan. I'm very, very happy to see that they're really progressing. They're doing wonderful things there around the MCT program, and they're even going as far as getting national coverage on their local television. I was very excited to hear that when something like that happened. So you have to be that community-oriented person. You must be someone that really wants to see your community grow, the community of trainers. You will assist the MCT program in shaping, in getting it shaped. You'll be giving feedback. You'll be also assisting to make it a better program. There will be times where you need to criticize and substantiate, and so there's all sorts of opportunities that will be there for you to communicate and be a part of something greater. Right? So there are going to be some requirements. Those requirements are pretty much going to be changing. I'm pretty sure they will be changing with some common requirements that you should just be aware of. So this is currently in the MCT central website. I'm not going to read out everything word for word, but I'm going to just generally say what you should be, what you should really be looking at getting or achieving or meeting a prerequisite before becoming a regional lead. One of the things is that you need to be an MCT for at least a year, right? In the past, it's been a little bit longer, but at least a year. However, that has, in my view, this is purely my opinion, I'm not speaking on behalf of Worldwide Learning, but that purely, I suppose, depends on maybe in 1 year already you've been doing a lot of events. I've already identified certain MCTs that could become prospective regional leads because of how active they've been in their community. And I've been providing a lot of input from my end. One of the examples or one of the things I recommended to the MCT program lead is that similar to the MVP program, there should be a recommendation say step as well, or process where one existing regional lead could possibly recommend a prospective candidate. It was just a suggestion my side. Whether they actually do it or not, I don't know. But because I've assisted so many prospective regional leads, and in fact, if you do think that you qualify or you would like to become a regional lead of your organization, or not organization, country, please do get in touch with me. I'm very happy to help you. But I will tell you what you need to do. Give me your situation in your country or region, and I'll try to assist. I can't say that I'll give you the right answer, but I will be there to assist you to take those steps where you can possibly become a regional lead. It's not a guaranteed position you'll get because only 80 or so in the world are chosen out of so many applications. You must obviously be in good standing as an MCT. You are passionate about training. You must avail yourself to volunteer. Everything about this role is volunteering. You do not get paid. There's no paid opportunities in this, right? So you are giving your time, you're giving your resources. You really want to help everyone in your community as well as outside the community. A lot of people I assist are not even in my own country, and I have emailed them, I've communicated with them, I've helped them out, not to become a regional lead, but they're struggling, or they want to do training, or they want to do something around this particular space, and they need help, right? And so I have given that particular assistance, and so it does not only mean in your own circle or in your own country, it could even be beyond that. Right, so normally applications will open towards the end of this year, around October. I will be putting out that communication as I receive it, when I can make it available for the public, and then you can apply. Right, and maybe at the time of applying, if you need some further advice, give me a shout. I will be reapplying, right? I'm sure every existing regional lead will be reapplying. So I'm happy to help out in that regard. It doesn't mean also that there is already a regional lead in your country, and that's it. You could be a second person. In fact, the second person is useful because you could be acting as a backup, or you could be tackling a certain area or region of your country and the other regional lead for the other area of the country. The USA has so many, the UK has so many. So have a look at applying, all right, and you probably would get it. Right, so I'm going to be answering some questions in a moment. I'll just gather them all up, and then at the end, I will get them answered. So that was just really about the MCT program right now as it stands. I can't talk too much. I am under an NDA. I can't say a lot of things, and that's one of the important things about being an MCT, even about the regional leaders, that you're not going to be exposing too much. You have been chosen. They are trusting you to really keep things under wraps until it is safe to, say, let it out, right, or to share with others. Right? There's a lot of exciting things that I've seen that are coming, but I'm not going to say that because, well, then I will break their trust, and we don't want to be in that situation. I'm going to talk about the trust element in a moment once more. Just 3 things that I'd like to bring up around the MCT program as it stands is the metrics that matter, MTM. We've been seeing a lot of posts in the last couple of months around it's time for me to renew my MCT, right? Or I'd like to become a new MCT, but how will I be measuring my performance? How does Microsoft actually see I'm doing well? Well, you have to be subscribed to the service MTM, or Metrics That Matter. As an MCT, in my opinion, this is the biggest benefit. I think this is outstanding because Metrics That Matter costs a lot of money if you're just an individual, if you're just in another company, in the thousands of dollars from what I've seen. And it's such a really good enterprise platform that gives you very useful insights on how you've been doing, right? And then it integrates very well with the MCT enrollment tool. So then you just create your surveys, and then you see your scores coming through automatically, and then you renew as an MCT. Just note that if you're a new MCT, this is not a requirement. It's only when you're renewing that you have to complete, or when you are busy, when you are an MCT, then you will be required to be using MTM quite often. So there have been some recent posts that I've been looking at in social media around renewing, that you could possibly upload documentation with other survey results or MTM results to show that you've been performing. But I do encourage you, if you're an existing MCT, I'm going to share a URL with you that please do follow the guide to make sure that your MCT setup in MTM has been done correctly. Because if you create the surveys, you share the links, the students complete them, and the time comes for renewal, everything should come through seamlessly. There's no action required from your part to make sure that your surveys come through and that your results come through as well. So I'm going to share a link in the chat. It is a public chat, I mean a public URL. So I don't have to worry about it being under NDA. You can easily find it. And please do read that up. Even if you're a prospective MCT, go have a look at this. This is what you will be required to do when you're going to become an MCT, that you have to create surveys, post-evaluation surveys to be handed out at the end of your class. This is how Microsoft will measure your performance, right? Jennifer, are there sessions for MCTs only where these NDA issues or topics can be discussed openly? So Jennifer, that would be in the MCT town halls that you need to attend, and that's where it normally happens. It's very risky for another forum like that to exist, because let's say I were to create an event, and I think I have done that in the past. I've created events for MCTs only, and I've set up mechanisms to check whether you're an MCT or not. In the past, I think there was an MCT meetup event that I hosted where I manually went through checking every single person's Credly profile. So the MCT logo and the MCT certification on Credly, I requested your URL, and that way I could verify you're an MCT. But that is a lot of work for me to do to check one by one. And Microsoft don't give regional leads or MCTs anyway any information about other MCTs, and so we can't check the validity of MCTs as regional leads very easily. It's a very manual process, and it's all because of privacy regulations. So at this present time, the official platform where MCT related content can be discussed would be the town hall events. However, I can definitely say, and if you do look at the previous MCT town hall recording, there was something that was mentioned about a new space that will become available soon on Microsoft's tech community site, where it would be an open space for you to discuss this, so more easily accessible forums, right? So that's coming soon. So there will be more spaces available, Jennifer, for you to openly discuss this, where it will only be accessible by MCTs, right? So that will be shared in the coming months. Right, so MTM is the one thing that we just need to be concerned about. And the next thing is the program agreement. This is just a reminder to all existing MCTs, even prospective MCTs, that when you do join the program, you are complying with the MCT program agreement. That agreement, which is a 19-page document. I'm going to post it in the chat that we go have a look at that. But please do make sure you follow this agreement. There have been instances in the last couple of months to a year or so where people have abused their benefits. Microsoft is taking strict action against that. We can't go into more detail around that. We've also not been told a lot of information, but Microsoft is taking very serious action against those individuals that actually abuse the benefits. And I have gone through in the previous session with my XtremeLabs session on some of the benefits available. So please do make sure that if you're becoming an MCT, we're putting a whole lot of trust, or Microsoft is putting a whole lot of trust in you to deliver and to use those benefits in the correct ways. If you do not, it will catch up to you, and then it's not a very nice scene, right? It's not nice at all to hear what happens to those MCTs that have actually been caught out, right? That's all I can say. Just do follow that program agreement very, very strictly. And the one thing I'd like to just briefly mention is the entry into the MCT program as an end user trainer. It's also a question I've been getting for quite some time. I'm a Microsoft Office trainer, or I've been doing soft skills. I want to get into Microsoft and I want to become an MCT, but I don't know where to start. I have no idea. All these other programs are pretty technical. Azure is very overwhelming. Power Platform is overwhelming. The cloud is overwhelming. Dynamics pretty much too. So where do I begin? Right. So I'll just tell you briefly where I began, and maybe you could go through the same as well. Not to say that if I went through it, you'll also successfully able to go through it. But my training journey started with Microsoft Office. Then I went on to Microsoft Teams, right? And the pandemic sort of accelerated this because everything had to be done online. So I became quite knowledgeable about Microsoft Teams. And then I took the Teams administrator exam. And that was probably my first step in the technical space of Microsoft. And then with Excel and a whole bunch of data analysis training, then came along Power BI, and then Power BI also got added to my portfolio. All right, so that's my journey. It's very quick, very short. That for end users out there that are doing Microsoft Office, if you want to become an MCT, they've already removed the Microsoft Office pathway. Previously, you could become an MCT by certifying in a Microsoft Office Specialist certification. They've taken that away because it was being abused and it was too easy to get in. So now Office is no longer recognized. Unless you're an existing MCT, then you can renew with it. But new prospective MCTs can't do that any longer. So my advice, this is my personal advice, is that if you're coming from the office space, this is my suggestion. I'm not going to say it's prescriptive. This is what you should be doing, but that's how I got quite technical in as I started becoming more technical. I started doing more things. Started with Teams, and then became with Power BI, and then slowly all the fundamentals courses. You probably, as a business user trainer or an end user trainer, the fundamentals are pretty key. If you can master all the Microsoft fundamental certifications, because that's giving you the foundation of what all the existing tracks are going to be looking like, and that would give you an opportunity to explore what should you be doing next as well. That is just an opinion. If anybody else has suggestions, how could one get into the MCT program? What is a good track to actually go through? It's a great thing if you could maybe mention in the chat. That was just my experience because a lot of these programs are pretty technical, pretty overwhelming. For someone coming from the business environment, it means you have to really skill up pretty well to access the MCT program, and well, you need to be able to get some of these very technical certifications. So I just wanted to bring that up. And obviously this is a recorded session which will be made available. So for all the end user trainers out there, or business user trainers, try that out. It might work, hopefully. If you do want to discuss that more, please do get in touch. Right, so that was just a little bit about important information. Just one small punt from my side is that I am an instructor along with Terry. Maybe Terry, you can just mention in the chat who you are, that you are Terry. Just say hi, and that both Terry and I are instructors of the Meetup Concepts organization. We are actually hosting a class on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of September 2023. It will be an online course. I will give you the website. It's on the screen there already, but I'm just going to put it into the chat that you can visit. This is available for the entire world. All right, so you don't have to be in South Africa. If you are in South Africa, you can join in person, and then there'll be some online spaces, but we predominantly will be doing it online, right? And it is a 3-day course. There will be an exam component. The website gives a lot more information. And just remember then, this is, if you do pass this particular exam, this will give you the certification that you can use to apply to become an MCT. All right, and then the second requirement is to have a qualifying Microsoft certification. And then with those two, you apply through the MCT enrollment tool, and then your application will be assessed, and if it is approved, then you become an MCT. All right, and I see Walter's given some great tips. Walter is a colleague from the Netherlands that I did also meet. A very great comment there. Thanks, Walter. Right, so I'm just looking at time here. I'm nearly done, but I'll just talk a little bit about the Cloud Partner Program for freelance MCTs. I did talk about this in the previous session. In my previous XtremeLabs session. It's now called the Cloud Partner Program. What are really the steps? I have outlined the steps there very, very briefly, but essentially you become what is called a Microsoft Action Pack Learning Partner as an individual freelance MCT. So you start off as a one-man one-woman show. You are able to buy labs, exam vouchers, and practice tests, and then you can resell it to your customers. Just do note that Courseware Marketplace is discontinued completely. That was the place to go and purchase these things, right? And now it has slightly changed. One of the most basic things you have to have before you can even start with this is you must have your own registered company. You can't operate as an individual or as a sole proprietor, as it's known in some countries. You must have a registered company. You must have a company domain email address. Things like Gmail and things are not going to work. Vipin, just your question. Cloud Partner Program is the entire program. You start at the Microsoft Action Pack level. So the entry is as an action pack. And as you start meeting the KPIs, then you are called something different, right? So everybody starting is now a Microsoft Action Pack partner. You must also create a Microsoft Learning Partner account with a different authorized lab hosters. A lab would be a simulation environment that you would procure for your students to practice all sorts of practical activities as part of the Microsoft Learn curriculum for that course, right? So XtremeLabs, I've put their URL there, marketplace.extremelabs.io. Do have a look at that. So what you would do is now you'd go to each ALH or authorized lab hoster, and they have their own website now or their own marketplace where you purchase labs from them directly. Before, you could do that at Courseware Marketplace where you could see all 3 or 4 of them listed and you could pick each one. Here it's what you're going to have to do is going to register with each marketplace, right? And you'd then be able to make these purchases. I see, Maury, you want to say something about that?
No, just want to make sure if anybody has any questions, I will type in my contact information here.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. Right, so that's the for the labs. You also have to create a Pearson Partner Store account, right? So this is now to purchase the Microsoft exam vouchers as well as the practice tests, which was also available on Courseware Marketplace, but now it's in a different location. All right, so I'm going to paste that link in the chat too. That's a whole set of steps that you have to follow for that. You also, as a learning partner, have to follow and use MTM for surveys. You have to have a learning partner organizational account for MTM. So please do email support@explorers.com for more information on how you can become how you can get yourself a learning partner account for MTM. And then there's one new website which has launched recently. It's on Tech Community. They've been migrating from one website to the other, which is the Learning Partner Tech Community site, where you'll find more information, news, updates. There's even a monthly meeting that you must attend to know what's going on. Please do attend that. All that information is there, but you'll only be able to access that site once you become a Microsoft learning partner. All right, so that's just some information. This is really an outline what you would really have to do now to become a Microsoft learning partner. It seems pretty tedious, a lot of steps, but it's a great revenue stream. It's a great way to compete. You're actually breaking into the market, and you can provide your own students. Maybe you have your own cohort of students. Maybe you have a whole group of people that you want to consistently service, right? Then you can actually become a Microsoft Action Pack learning partner. There are some updates coming up in October or so. That was discussed at the last meeting, but yes, please do sign up if you think you want to become a learning partner. You can also drop me an email. I'm happy to help. In the last, say, 4 or 5 months, I've helped about 4 people or 5 companies become learning partners, and so everybody is wanting to probably jump on. Jennifer's got a valid question. What's the difference between LAP and MAP? So LAP means Learning Action Pack, and then the other one is just called Microsoft Action Pack. When you sign up to be a partner, a Microsoft partner, you'll be presented with 2 options. Do you want to be a learning partner, or do you want to be a solution selling partner? Right? You have to pick one, and you can't change that afterwards. Right? Solution selling is that you're going to use Microsoft products and services to implement solutions in organizations. You're not teaching in that particular space. So you would implement Azure, you'd implement Power BI, you'd implement Power Platform, Dynamics 365, etc. And there's a whole set of KPIs behind that. And there's a whole set of benefits also behind that too, if you do that. And then LAPS, or Learning Action Pack, is if you want to become a training company, you want to deliver training, you want to deliver courses, do certification, do exams, right? So you have to make that choice, what you want to do, and you can't change it afterwards. Just bear that in mind. Lastly, all right, then this is just a few slides left. Upcoming MCT events. Please do join these events. It's an opportunity to come in person, to meet fellow MCTs, prospective MCTs, network, learn a lot of new skills. I learned a lot in the previous summit. Ivan was a speaker there, and whilst it was my first time, I did learn a lot, and I've taken quite a lot back. So some of the upcoming ones, we'll have the MCT Summit in Pakistan on the 25th of November, 2023. There's a URL there, mctcommunity.pk, if you'd like to visit for more information. We have the European MCT Summit taking place in January. There will be a train the trainer session, so you can actually, if you're a prospective MCT, you can attend that class to become an MCT, and then you can attend the MCT Summit. There will be lots of sessions. There's a whole bunch of social events, other types of events. I'm going to share the URL in the chat. We also have Walter on the call, who probably can even give more information as part of the organizing team. So the European MCT Summit as well, the previous European Summit was Switzerland, and now it's taking place in the Netherlands. And then the next one after that will be in the Middle East, and that's still to be announced. There's also a URL for that I found, which will take place during the course of 2024. Right, and I'm just posting those particular links inside the chat as well. Right, and that's pretty much it from my side. I'll be around for some questions if you have any questions, so you can post them in the chat. I'll be looking through that, but that's the end of my session. Quite a bit discussed, some information there. If you'd like to visit, there's some previous sessions you want to probably look at, please do so, by some of my colleagues. Otherwise, get in touch. Yeah, thanks, Maury. I'm going to be going through some questions and seeing what I can answer from here.
Right, thank you very much.